Hey everyone, so this is Chicago Med, Season 3, Episode 3, called Trust Your Gut. And I think I'm going to go by storyline, like individual storyline, again, like I did last episode. I'm going to go with Rhodes since he's the first one we saw. Um, and so basically, he's on the phone talking with Robin when Latham gets his attention to talk about their patient. And he's talking to her about missing keys for the apartment. Apparently, she either left the keys in the apartment or she lost them or some shit. I don't know. I mean, at this point, I'm kind of over this storyline. I know I just started this video, but I'm kind of over her, like at least over Rhodes and her to get like their storyline all together. Like I'm kind of done with that because like cause it has to deal with, you know, um, it has to deal with um, Rose and Becker. To be honest, and I'll get to that one at the, like when I'm actually finished with the actual storyline of this episode. But anyway, so Rose goes over to Latham and Becker, and he's like, "Well, I don't want you to take over the pre-op because I'm fine and all that stuff." Um, so they then go to their patient. All three of them go to their patient, and his name is Ray Preston, aged 53, who fell short of breath while jogging. He says he was able to go 5 miles before getting winded significantly. But this time he was only to get 3 miles in. Um, he went to his normal doctor, did the standard test, and they recommended to go. They recommended he go to Chicago Med because of Latham and all that. I don't remember what they said was wrong with him, but I mean, like what specifically it said was wrong with him, but obviously it has to deal with the heart because they're Latham's because he's Latham's patient. So, um, what I do remember is that they're not going to do the standard cabbage surgery or whatever. I don't. I remember hearing that what it stood for one time, but I don't remember now. Anyway, so they're going to do the procedure that they're planning on doing that day, and during the surgery, Becker keeps second guessing Rhodes and all that. She keeps like under basically I guess calling him out for something when he doesn't need to be called out or whatever. Um, anyway, so after Ray's surgery, um, when they're literally when everyone's still in the operating room, but they haven't actually left yet, he starts to code. So they use a non-invasive procedure to fix the issue, and so they thought that like the grafts, like Becker thought that the graft was the problem. Rhodes finds out that it wasn't his grafts that were the problem; it was a clot, probably because of the anesthesia. Latham asks for ways to fix it. Rhodes wants to use heparin, but that's going to take too long because that's medicine through the IV. But Becker thinks it will take like she thinks it'll take too long to break down the clot smaller and have the heart get rid of have the heart get rid of it as best it can. She suggests to suck the clot out, and so Latham agrees because that's I mean, but she feels like they both feel like since it's gonna take too long for the heparin, it might damage the heart more than it already is. So, and during that procedure, the clot is taken out, but an artery has burst in a different, completely unrelated part of the heart that they were trying to fix. Um, Becker is concerned later. Becker's concerned that there is after they've been monitoring their patient for a while, that their patient is heading in the wrong direction and that his body is rejecting his heart. She wants to give him a heart transplant from the patient who was involved in a hit and run. Rose doesn't want to do that, and then we see the little snippet of the scene we saw in the preview of the promo, where she says, "Well, she basically in context she was saying that if the patient dies, I'm gonna make sure that you're the sole person to blame because I wanted to do something else and then you trampled all over me. You didn't want to hear it." So that's basically what it was, because it was totally out of context. Like, I mean, I assumed, and I guess other people assumed that she was talking about like something completely different and like unrelated to a patient. And so, anyway, then at the end of the episode, Rhodes' patient takes a turn for the better. And so Latham asks him, "Well, do you and Becker enjoy your exchange?" And this is where I am like, I'm so over the whole sick girlfriend shit and how Rhodes is going to be pushed to someone who isn't sick because he's tired of taking care of someone who's sick and all that shit. Because Rhodes says, "Well, maybe I might." And I'm like, I'm so fucking over this shit. Like, I don't get why they are using this old tired shtick where two obviously rivals who don't like each other one damn bit should be together because, oh, maybe they have secret feelings for each other. Like, that's such bullshit. If you are really into somebody, you will not try to undermine their ass at every turn. You won't try to second guess them, and you won't say mean shit just for the hell of it. Like, nah. That's not how a relationship works, and that's not how it should start off. And I'm so fucking over this shit. I might just end up fast forwarding past those parts because at this point I'm so over it. I've seen it a million times. I don't want to see it anymore. I'm like, shut up. I don't care anymore. I really, really don't care. At this point, I'm so done because I don't really care, because it's like at this point the only reason why they're even talking about Robin anymore is because of the fact that she's sick and they're trying to drive Rhodes to Becker and all that shit. Like, I mean, swear to God, if he fucking cheats on Robin while he's like clearly still with her, with Becker, I'm gonna just completely fast forward to their parts because I don't care. I don't want to see that. I don't like it. I hate that they're portraying a relationship like that. I really don't like it. I mean, yeah, it's probably real life, and how in real life people don't always like to take care of sick people all the time, but still, like, this is a fucking TV show. I don't want to have to think about, like, it's supposed to be fiction, not real life. So anyway, rant done for the time being. Next person we see is Goodwin, and she's getting word that the hospital board is worried about the bottom line, meaning money that's coming in. And apparently it's different now. And is asked to sacrifice their medical care, basically. So what that means is she asks the doctors to start writing. She and Stoll asked the doctors to write explicitly everything that they write down, or everything that they use on their patients, from bandages to the exact dosage of their meds that they are given, and all this is going to be tracked with barcodes and stuff, just like the meds are. So everything, like, not everyone is, everyone's, like, the doctors aren't really that happy about it. I mean, so that's a continuing theme in the whole episode. So just got to get that out of the way. Next up is Will. He gets a patient named Alex, who is 23 and was stabbed. Will notices that the the wound is, I mean, even I saw it, but he noticed it. Well, I noticed that the wound is really, really long to be a stab wound. And Will notices that there's betadine around the incision and that the cut is rather clean. Alex actually cut himself to get something from inside of him. He initially says it's a person, but yeah, he says like he's trying to get something out of himself. So Charles goes to speak with Alex, who doesn't believe him, and then when he gets a bit testy, they sedate him. Charles asks Reese what she thinks, and she thinks it's schizophrenia because the symptoms suggest it's a textbook case. Charles, though, thought the same thing initially, but he isn't sure now because of the premeditation, and he thinks that maybe chemical/pharmacological, so he orders a tox screen. Reese then tells Charles Alex's tox screen came back negative, wants to start him on antipsychotics, but Charles still isn't convinced it's like schizophrenia because he has no history of it with just himself, let alone his family. Charles has already put a fan in his room to try to trigger a symptom for meth addiction, but since it's been too long, excuse me, he allows Reese to use antipsychotics. While Reese tries to do that, she sees he has popped his stitches and has stuck his hand back inside of himself. During the surgery, because they take Alex up to surgery during the meantime, and then the surgeons find something inside of him, and we later find out that it most likely seems to be the case that Alex, while in his mother's womb, was a twin, but for, I guess, unexplained reasons, the twin died, and then Alex absorbed him during utero. So, and I think that's pretty much the entire plot. Like, that's like probably the shortest one before Goodwin's storyline. Goodwin doesn't really have that many storylines because she's not technically a doctor anymore. She's head of the ED. So anyway, so then I think pretty much the last storyline really is Troy and April, Troy, Natalie. They get the patient who passed out and hit her head while washing her face. Her brother Eric comes with her because I figured out that he was living with her before he even said anything later in the episode. And he says he says she was complaining of a stomach ache the night before. When the brother leaves, he figured out that what is wrong with the sister is some sort of brain injury. And the patient's name is Myra because they didn't say that before. So, but her name is Myra. And when the parents go into rooms, obviously the parents have basically disowned Eric, and we also we find out it's because he basically has been doing drugs for at least, I want to say, 5 years, if not longer than that. But before we find that out, we find out that Myra's labs came back clean. She's anemic because she is a vegan, so she doesn't get that much iron from red meat. Um, and we also found out that Mara hasn't been sleeping well or sleeping much because of finals. Uh, and that's when we found out the reason why is because he's been staying with her. Um, then Mara starts to have difficulty breathing. So they do run some more labs, but she doesn't. It comes back to that she doesn't have an infection, and her EEG shows signs of continuous seizures. Uh, when she starts to seize again, they try to take her to end them, and Eric wants to go with her, but her parents are like, their parents are like, well, no, you're not going to do that. Troy thinks that the previous ED visit is connected because she had a previous one about, like, well, I don't remember how long ago, but it was a couple months before, and he thinks that they're connected somehow. Um, so when Mara's parents come up to Natalie, they tell her about the fact that Eric does drugs, and he probably slipped her something. Natalie tells them, well, she keeps telling them, there's no evidence of the fact that she was slipped drugs. So Natalie then shows Troy Mara's MRI. Apparently, there was something there that wasn't there before, so they start testing for a wide variety of things. And then it goes to Natalie and Troy telling Mara's parents that she's brain dead, basically. Um, so Myra's dad's like, well, I want to donate her organs because that's what she would have wanted. And then suddenly back in the room, everyone overhears the mom accuse Eric of being high. Then he must have done something to her, like must have slipped her some drugs. And again, Natalie's like, well, her toxic screen was fucking negative. Stop saying that shit. Like, it's really annoying. So after everyone, kind of leaves and calms down, Troy goes to talk to Eric outside. And Troy offers to set up Eric with a social worker, I think, and a place to get clean because he feels like he's starting to see the difference between a crutch and a helping hand. And that's when Eric says that he always got high because he felt bad after eating. Um, So Troy tells Natalie that Eric has been self-medicating because he would always get sick after eating protein. And since Mara was a vegan, she always avoided protein. When she fasted during studying, her body broke down to tissue, her own tissue, and that's how she got protein in her body, and that's why she would get sick. So Natalie and Troy go explain this to her parents that she had OTC, and that if she had just eaten, she would be alive. They also explain that it's passed from mother to child. So then the parents are like, "Oh, Eric, we're so sorry. How was him?" And I'm like, y'all just about disown me because I mean, yeah, I was taking drugs, but you didn't bother to ask maybe why I was taking it. So maybe y'all need to like get up off me or some shit. Like, really? Um, I forgot that we also saw in this episode that April is uh, you know, always helping out Noah, even though Noah needs to help out himself. And so that was the whole reason why Troy was like, well, I'm starting to see the difference between a helping hand and a crutch and all that. So, there's nothing in the promo for next week, that suggests that there's anything that I could make predictions on. So I don't know. Or I can't really make any predictions because it was kind of vague. I mean, we saw all the characters in it, but it was really just kind of vague. And there's the narrator was talking about this is a time of year where we don't give up hope. So maybe some case happens where, like, that's what that's the whole reason why he's saying it. I don't know. I mean, I honestly can't make any predictions about in the next week, or not next week, tomorrow. So I don't know. I can't make any predictions. There's just nothing to predict. There's nothing to predict. So I don't know. I can't say anything. Anyway, that's the end of the episode. And I know I said last week that I'll try to get this up by Wednesday, but I've been trying to get it done the next day, but same with Vikings. I've been trying to do that like the next day afterwards, and then shit comes up, so I ended up pushing it back until when I'm doing it now. So I'll just say I will try to get it up as soon as I can. That's what I'll say, because I keep breaking that promise, the previous promise. So I'll try to get it up whenever I can. Hopefully it's Wednesday, but I can't make that promise because I keep breaking it. So I'll see you guys when I can.